Hi, everyone, and welcome to Chair Yoga. Today, I'm going to use some of the wisdom I gained way back years ago when I stumbled onto a simple book called Morning Cup of Yoga. It's just a simple little book that gives a morning routine. It is kind of the basis, I think, for my Chair Yoga inspiration when I decided to offer Chair Yoga as one of the options that I taught. I'm pretty sure it came from this book because, like I said, I came upon it quite early on. And the beauty of the book, just to remind some of you, is that it is a tiny little book, skinny, not like thousands of pages to try to absorb, not by any means, but yet it's just packed with wonderful inspiration and information about yoga. If you have questions about the ancient tradition of it, she addresses all of that in a way that is just very accessible. So I admire this book to this day, and I'm using it to inspire my class intention today, which is about kind of looking at the benefits of yoga in three simple steps about um, how yoga might influence us or improve our lives. First of all, and what we're going to focus on today is bringing the mind and body together, bringing the mind and body together, which is just words, and they're fairly common words these days, but it's so very impactful. It is like, to really allow yourself to absorb that idea, to quiet the mind and bring yourself more into the body is extremely powerful. My first teacher, I'm going to call that, was Eckhart Tolle. And I'm trying to think of how long ago I read the books, The Power of Now and The New Earth. 20 years, close to 20 years, I think. Those were my first books that really opened me up to a whole new way of thinking and experiencing life. About and just to narrow it down to a single thought here was living in the present moment. I didn't understand that being so impactful, being that important back in those days, 20 some years ago. I didn't get it. But through the practice of yoga added to that book, which I think of it now, I can't even, the place I was coming from in my mind and my understanding of life and the experiences of religious traditions, et cetera, that I had experienced so far. Um, it couldn't have been further from that. The books were so very, very different from anything I had ever learned, and yet I was drawn to it. And yet there was something that resonated within me. It has taken me years to absorb. It's taken me, um, for sure, the introduction of yoga to add on to that to make a big difference in my life. But it certainly has. So just giving you a little background. So I'm going to use that today as we begin. So I'm going to read from it, give you some direct, information right from the book about bringing mind and body together as sort of a three-step process. That's the first one. The second one, just to touch base, which we'll do on another class, is improving your posture. And then the last one is improving your energy flow, unblocking the flow of energy in your body. So we'll hit upon those two other ideas on classes that follow. But today we're going to talk about and be with bringing mind and body together. So let's start by finding your good sit. Bring yourself into your chair in a way that feels, like you're making your transition. You're not leaning into the backrest anymore. You're coming forward on the chair. I hope you got your block handy. Let's use that between our thighs to bring us into that awareness of the central channel of our body. So you're just kind of hugging that block between your legs and maybe strengthening your belly muscles a bit. Close your eyes as soon as you feel comfortable with that, and just know that we've now entered into this transition intentionally, and together we're moving into transitioning into this yoga experience. Take a big breath in and let that exhale come out of your mouth like you're blowing out a candle, and use it as a way to lengthen your exhale. So we're going to use that particular breath modality, if you will, just to, as a way of lengthening the exhale. So the breath comes in any way you want it to, but it goes out through the mouth as though you're blowing out a candle, slowly releasing that exhale. Feel your sit bones. So feel your pelvis in the chair and balance yourself right to left, front to back. And then find then just gently, this has escorted us into this yoga today. And so your breath will return perhaps to its normal rhythm. Whenever you're ready for that, just allow that normal rhythm of inhale and exhale to be your focus as you listen now to the words that we're going to use to help us all stay with one intention today, perhaps. Some people take the word yoga to mean the training of the body through yoga postures. But yoga is more than just exercise. It's a complete system for living harmoniously in the world and for attaining peace. In Sanskrit, yoga can be understood at different levels. For instance, yoga, meaning yoke or union, can be interpreted to mean the unifying of body, breath, and mind. Gyms and health clubs borrow heavily these days from the yoga tradition. But an important difference between doing exercises and practicing yoga is the level of attention and awareness you bring to the work. In yoga, you are developing a relationship to the breath with the intention of bringing body, breath, and mind into one single awareness in the present moment. With yoga, we learn to work with the body using concentrated attention. Yoga poses are mostly done slowly with constant observation. An advanced practitioner of yoga is not the one who can do the most amazing feats of strength or balance, but the one who can pay closer attention and modulate his or her effort and breath appropriately. So let this be our gateway into this mind-body connection. Thich Nhat Hanh gave us this information. He gave us lots of beautiful, helpful, beloved information. But this is one that I have posted in my yoga room here, and it stays up. And that is this. In order to love, we must be here. And in order to be here, you must bring your mind home to your body. And then as a side note, not attributable to Thich Nhat Hanh, we can trust the body to enlighten the soul. Trusting the body to enlighten the soul. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale it out of the mouth with the sound of ah. One more time. Ah. And then flutter the eyes open. Get used to the light for a moment. We're going to begin just moving with the arms to wake up the joints of the shoulders. I like to start with this because it stretches the back. It's kind of like we introduce a full body stretch along with some movements of the joints. So let's inhale up and exhale down. Inhale up and exhale down. We're going to add a couple different stretches. So inhale up, exhale into the position of the goddess. So bent elbows, inhale up, exhale down. So we're just going to insert that. Inhale up, goddess pose. Inhale again and down. So inhale is here. Exhale is the goddess, up and down. See if you can find the full range of movement with your arms. Few more. Nice and strong. Good posture. Press your feet to the floor. Let's meet in that goddess position. So we've got our elbows bent, our hands are wide open and purposeful. I want you to open and close now, lifting up your chest. Let's find a big opening as those shoulder blades draw toward each other and close as arms come together. And remember, we've talked about different ways for your particular body type that you might bring your arms together. So you use whatever works for you in your body. So perhaps you're more or less giving yourself a hug because it just fits better in your body to do it. And you have access to the vinyasa. In vinyasa, reminding you is just that connection of breath and movement. Inhale and exhale. So you choose what works best for you. As we transition our body, we're waking it up, getting some blood flowing, warming up the body. And back to lifting up and all the way down. One more time, lifting all the way up on our inhale and down on the exhale. Let's move into the traditional cow and cat vinyasa. Chest bone comes forward, you're arching the back, arms are real close to the frame of the chair. Keep your head neutral. Let's just find the inhale and the exhale as we feel this full expression of the cow pose, the extended spine. Exhale it right down to your feet. So you've been really true to that full exhalation. And then let's just float the arms in front of us and pull the belly in so that you can round through the back body into your angry cat. Rounding the back body, keeping your shoulders centered right over your hips like they're supposed to be stacked. Pulling through the spine to create the roundness. Deepen the breath. And let's move through the vinyasa. Inhale is cat. Excuse me. Inhale is cow. Exhale is cat. Inhale, lift the chest. Round the body as you move through your vinyasa, connecting breath and movement. That mind-body connection by way of the breath. So the mind part of that is your focus. You're focusing what your body is doing. You're paying attention to the breath, connecting to the movements. So that's the task we've assigned our mind to do, is to pay attention to the flow. Beautiful. Let's come back to a mountain position. We're going to tuck that block underneath the chair just for a moment as we begin to do some shoulder rolls. I want you to start opening your feet a little wider so the movement feels kind of, spontaneous. You're going to maybe turn a little bit. Let's call this non-linear movement, where you're not following any particular prescribed posture, that instead you're just loosening up. Maybe you close your eyes so that you're just free to do it without getting tempted to try to follow a particular, like, what's she doing? I guess I'm supposed to do that. Instead, you're really totally listening to your body, moving your head, your shoulders, moving even through your hips, and maybe you're lifting your legs up, whatever your body is telling you to do. So it's non-linear. It's much more free flowing, spontaneous, that kind of thing. So we're going to move like that, loosen up what needs to be loosened up in your body. What needs your attention? Beautiful. Let's come back to our neutral position, and right away we're going to come into the work of the perineum. So I've come into my side view. You, of course, do not need to change your posture. Have that distance between your feet. Your toes are sort of pointing out from center. Press your hands into your thighs and lower your chest down so you feel that diagonal line of the body. And so now, just for a moment, before we get into the work of the perineum, we're going to begin to just feel our posture here, how we brought ourselves into the legs, how we, by folding our body down to like a halfway mark, we can feel how that's shifted the way, the strength of the legs, how much more we're reliant on the legs, our body's legs instead of the chair seat. You know, when we're upright, we've kind of got our body weight held by the chair a little bit more. This way we can feel it shifting into the strength of the legs. And then that's going to be our good setup now to lift and tone the perineum. So inhale, lift it up, lift the floor of the pelvis up and hold it as long as you can, and then exhale down. So let's just use that as our directive. We lift and hold it as long as we can, and we exhale and release. So we're not trying to be in sync with each other at all. We're not trying to find this rhythm that we have all decided on, but instead, you're really paying attention to your body's ability and lift and tone and hold as long as you can. Be sure to exhale it all out. So if that means you're kind of blowing it out to speed it up because that just seems more appropriate for you right now, that's fine. But let that exhale complete itself. Lift and hold. Now can you feel in your inner thighs? That's a good awareness that we're particularly noticing the inner thighs in this action, pulling right up into the groin area. Lift and hold as long as you can. Exhale, release, and go back for more. Again, your own pattern of movement, your own pace. Let's do two more. And then make your way upright again and release any tension. If that created some tension in the body that you want to get rid of, you can feel that that's kind of needs to loosen itself up so you feel a little more free to move without that tension. We'll do that. Hold on to the chair or not. I want to get into the hips in a way. This is what I'm doing behind my back. I'm holding on to my forearms just to use the strength of my core. So as I move my leg, it's kind of a hop over, not dragging it, I'm stepping it. Maybe that's a better word. It's a step for sure. It's not just sliding it over. And let's warm up the other leg. So we'll switch to the other side, not a lot of fanfare, just allowing ourselves to come. And I'm going to suggest you find your pattern. What if you say, I'm going to do 5 on one side and 5 on the other, and I'm going to find my own way of doing this. So I want you to just establish your pattern. I threw out 5 as a random number. I want you to just alternate between legs. Maybe you're holding onto the chair because you know that's much better for you in your low back, for example. However you're managing this, let it be your own. Let it be your own. Smooth out the breath. You don't want to hold the breath. You want to find the smoothness of your breath so we're connected, mind, body, by way of breath. Again, the way that we are focusing on our mind or allowing our mind to be a part of this equation is that we're assigning these tasks, stay with this, help me get the number I created. I want 5 of these, I want 3 of these. Connecting my breath to my movement, that's what your mind is doing, focusing. Let's meet with both legs over towards your right side. So both legs are coming over towards your right side. Bring your feet a little closer to the chair. Let's try a simple twist. Just lift up, reach up. So you're kind of giving yourself a full body stretch and turn away from the way your knees are going. So knees are off to the left. That means you're going to turn to your right. However you're doing it is away from your knees. Deepen the breath. And remember the mechanics of a twist. It starts low, like at the waistline. It moves into your chest cavity, then your shoulders, and then you're able to turn your head and neck. Squeeze those legs together. And let's unwind the head and then the shoulders. And we'll Come back to center. I want you to just wiggle that out or reset the body. And then we'll step again. Bring your feet as close to the chair as you need to, so you have a real nice bend of the knees. Full body stretch, lift it up. And let's twist away from the way our knees are going. So the other way, your other twist. And get right back to the basics. It starts at the waistline. It moves its way up into the rib cage, shoulders, and then turning the head and neck. Deepen the breath now. Squeeze those legs together. Keep your mouth soft. Relax your tongue. We're going to unwind the head and then the shoulders and come back into a wide angle. Let's circle now. So hands are on the thighs. I want you to just circle through the pelvic bowl, a big circle, go all the way down and over and back. You're finding a big circle where your head and neck and spine feel like they're just staying, synchronized. There's not this loose, where your head seems to be lassoing around, but your head, neck, and spine are just staying synchronized in the circular movement. Let's change the direction of the circle at least once. You can change when you're ready, but do it at least once. And when come back to center, let's do a forward fold. I want you to reach up like you're trying to get your palms to stretch up toward the ceiling. So palms are reaching up all the way down now. Fold between your legs, look down and underneath yourself. So now those palms are pushing into the floor. So those stretched out arms have come and landed your palms to the floor. Look down and under the chair. Get just curious, kind of fun, like, oh yeah, we're trying to look under the chair, surrendering the weight of your head, folding into the space between your legs, and now noticing where you feel this in your body. Find your breath now. As you start noticing your breath, just notice where you feel it in your body. I'm hesitating to say, here's where we're doing, why we're doing it. We're in this part of the body. Instead, just make it your own. So you're really aware of the breath moving through your body in this deep fold. And you notice it. Maybe for the first time, you can really feel it in your body. Deep in your body, not just the breath as it moves through the lungs, but the folded experience as well. Let's jump our hands one at a time to the thighs. Squeeze your elbows into your waist. Meet me in a halfway mark so we have that diagonal line of the back body. Press your sit bones, press your pelvis into the chair seat. Get a little more intentional that you're kind of really drilling down into the pelvis so that you feel perhaps the sit bones connected to the chair seat. And notice how that feels in your low back when you are that kind of intentional, pressing down. Let's see if we can bring our hands to the prayer position instead of using our arms like a bracket of support. We've let go of the bracket and we're using the pressure of our pelvis into the chair seat to provide that low back support and stability. We're going to take a little twist, so we're going to just turn so we can drop one elbow toward the other thigh, just crossing the midline and just bringing palms together, and lift your elbows up so you can feel how they're just very intentionally placed, kind of stacked one above the other, turning your head in a particular way. We're kind of landed on one knee and thigh. So pay attention to what the other leg is doing. Don't let it fold towards center. Keep it extended open. Be mindful about that other leg, even though we've sort of focused our body into this one side. Let's come back up. Let's just take a breather and relax and release as we unwind from the twist. But let's stay right here. And again, I'm in a side angle position. You don't need to be. You should be squarely facing forward like you always are. I just want you to see it better. So as we come back into that, the beginning of that, where we're pressing our feet to the floor, we've got that diagonal line of the body, we're pressing in the pelvis to the chair seat, stabilizing the low back. Then we can bring hands to prayer position. And it still feels like, okay, yeah, the low back is still stable and strong because I've got my pelvis really drilling into the chair. And now let's twist the other way. Go the other way now. Same setup. Pay attention to the other leg so it doesn't start to drift toward the midline and just sort of gotten forgotten about. So keep it drawn open. And pay attention to how you're holding your head. So it feels good in your neck. You feel very supported. Your neck is supported in this management of that heavy head of yours. Find again the rhythm of your breath as you start to unwind from your twist and bring yourself up. Let's just pay attention as we come up to the rhythm of our breath, the flow of inhale, the release of exhale. And maybe as we do that, we're going to do that circular motion, a way of reminding ourselves of this free flowing nature. Now, our body is composed of water primarily, so we're just being aware of this free flowing nature. Do change the direction of your circular movement whenever it grabs you, but do change it once at least. And let's come back to center. Let's bring our legs in alignment with hips. So bring your legs a little closer together. You're within the frame of the chair. Make sure you're positioned well so you feel very supported in the whole pelvic structure. Your buttocks is very supported. Lift those arms up close to your head, and we're going to extend a straight leg out. So this is one of the postures we're going to do. We're going to come back to this straight leg and straight arms, but we're going to weave in another one. So we get this one and come back to more of like your goddess arms and touch the ankle. So lift your foot up. So now you're touching the inner ankle. So arms are held just in a particular way, just for the momentary movement, you know, holding them somewhere while we're moving into that, touching the inner ankle. So we got to lift that foot up. Let's see if we can weave that all together. Inhale up, straight legs, goddess arms, one leg at a time. Straight arms, straight legs, goddess arms, one inner ankle at a time. You can do it. Oops. There we go. Let's go through the whole series one more time. I'm halfway through it. Let's meet in those goddess positions. So maybe you're more intentional now about opening your feet a little wider. Now the toes are really pointing out to the sides. Knees, of course, go along with that. And let's hold it here. Catch up with your breath. And if I've rushed you, if already you need to just take a breather and relax your arms, just be sure to insert that for your particular practice. When you're ready to go, we're going to open here with our inhale and then close as we bring everything together at the center. Open and close. See if you can match up with your breath. Inhale is the open position. Exhale is when we close it. You might find your breath hearty, kind of noisy by now. It's okay. It's good. Let that be. Welcome it. Just means you're really putting some effort here, feels good, and you feel strong about it. Let's meet in the closed position. This is where we can do a few more crunches, some little more belly work, where you're going to bring yourself elbows down and elbows up. So maybe you clasp your hands because that'll help to bind your arms together. That's a strategy that you could use. But in any event, we're trying to bring ourselves into this crunching action. So you might adapt it to your body type a little bit different, might look different than the way I'm doing it, but you're still doing your crunches. You're still moving up and down through the strength of your abdominal wall. Settle into your breath awareness. Our mind is going to help us focus on the breath awareness as we continue to weave that mind body together by way of the breath. Let's come back to neutral. Again, I'm turning because I want you to have the best view. You know, there's a lotus mudra thing that we use our hands for, where your pinkies and your thumbs come together and then your fingers spread apart. It creates sort of a vessel. Let's use that mudra as we come down deep in with our elbows coming deep into our belly. This is the seed pose, and you can feel perhaps the seed is that place of where your elbows are pushing into your low belly. Right there is kind of the seed of our awareness. Inhale here and exhale. And then we're going to lift that up, and like we're sprouting, lifting up, letting that lotus mudra open up to the sky. Find your breath. Then lift it all the way up. So we still have pinkies together and our thumbs together and our fingers are spread apart. Inhale with me here. Exhale at the prayer position at the heart. Inhale up and exhale, arms come all the way around. Let's do that one more time where the arms lift up, inhaling, and the exhale, big backstroke all the way down. Good. We're going to come up and down out of the chair by using that method of lifting your feet up off the floor and then popping your bottom up off the chair seat. So let's just roll through that a few times. Pay attention so you can really feel secure in this motion and kind of the fun of it. Lift your feet up and have some fun with that rocking forward and back. And then we'll meet standing up. So bring your feet to the floor, get yourself close to the chair. I'm going to say, let's get our block between our shins and calves. So let's grab that block so we can pull the shins in. And that allows us to draw the thighs out. Don't overthink that, but know that that can happen. It's a great stretch within the body and especially good for realigning your hip joints by squeezing your shins in and allowing the possibility that while you're doing that, thighs are pulling away from each other. And that's going to be felt and realized in the realignment of your hip joints. Palms face forward, arms are close to the side body. Let's close the eyes down. Again, don't overdo or overthink this idea of shins in and thighs out, but know it's a possibility in your practice to create that kind of strength and that kind of particular awareness into the body. Let's just deepen the breath. Settle into the simplicity now of mountain pose. Simple, but it's still strong. It's still very strong, but it's sort of easy to arrive at, isn't it? Stay with it till you find again the rhythm of your breath and that you're able to focus your mind on the experience you're in. Your mind is fully committed to just watching your breath move in your body and feeling the strength and the stability of this posture. That's what your mind is doing. Eyes are closed, it gives us a check-in, doesn't it? It's like we went into a private space. We can really feel and sort of have a word with ourselves, if you will. How am I doing? How am I really doing? This is an inquiry of love and compassion. There's no competition in this practice, ever. This is an inquiry of kindness, love, and compassion. How am I doing? Let's open the eyes again. Inhale with me, palms will come together. Exhale, that prayer position comes into the heart. Inhale back up and exhale all the way down. We're going to use the block. I'm going to have you keep it handy. I'll show you why. See if you can just set it right on your chair. I want you to move next to your chair so that you can bring a foot to the chair where the foot that you put on the chair seat is that's closest to the backrest. So that's the foot that's up on the chair is the one that's closest to the backrest. So the block is here. What if I'm asking, us to make contact with that chair seat, but the chair seat is kind of far away. Your body doesn't want to bend like that. Well, that's where you could use your block in any way. So I'm not going to really instruct in any particular way here about the use of the block. I just want you to know that's absolutely legit, that you bring the chair seat up a little bit so you can reach something better than that with the use of the block. So we got a bent knee on our leg that's up there on the chair. Of course, I want you to see if you can get sort of that foot is pretty close to the backrest. And so that you've got kind of a wide stance. The distance between your feet is fairly wide. And so then we're going to just pulse, bringing ourselves through a bent knee and more of a straight leg as we pull back. So you can use all kinds of support that the chair offers, or maybe you don't need much of that chair support other than, of course, your foot being on there. But otherwise, you're finding the steadiness of movement, and perhaps hands can come to the hips and you can feel the pelvis pulsating forward and back. A very bent knee and more or less a straight leg. So feel that movement. Squared away, the hips are moving, that right side, left side is moving in harmony. Your pelvis is pulsating in a single unit, as a single unit. Bring your head up. See if you can bring your head up so you're not looking down to the floor, you're not dropping your head, but your head is lifted like you're standing in mountain pose. Good. Now let's pulse forward with the bent knee. This is again where the block might be helpful for some of you. And I'm going to say either holding on to the chair, and I want that back foot. While we were upright, both feet were essentially pointing in the same direction, but I'm going to get that back foot to rotate out. So now the foot is pointing out toward the middle of your room, perhaps. And this foot, of course, hasn't done a thing different. It's still right there, but the back foot is open. Now, when we get a hold of the chair, we're into a little different space. Or you can use the block so you don't have to bend forward so much. Let those hips move forward and back now with this different angle. Can you feel the difference of that? See if you can even do it in a non-linear way. So instead of just pulsing forward and back, you think, well, I'm going to kind of circle a little bit. I can feel a little movement. If I emphasize one side and then I try to emphasize the other side. So get creative about this movement. It's all by design, of course, getting us into the feeling of our hip, maybe stretching the buttocks in a way that hasn't been stretched well. And we need to stretch the buttocks muscles. Non-linear movement might describe this very well. You don't have to watch the screen to see if you're doing it right. Your body-mind connection, you're figuring it out. Find the smoothness of your breath. Great. Let's make our way upright. So the feet stay the same. We've got that foot that's on the ground. That's pointing out toward the center of the room. And the foot that's on the chair hasn't moved. It's just pointing straight ahead like it does. Now I want you to turn so that you can bring yourself into a side angle. You know what I do is I press my elbow into the inner thigh. It gives me some leverage to pull my shoulder back. So it feels like, my leg isn't going anywhere. It's just giving me some, strong base of support so I can pull that shoulder back. You could bring your hand to the block here, for example, as a way to stabilize, because there's like some pressure between your arm and your leg. You're feeling that as a source of leverage. Let's start by bringing that hand behind the back. Get your head turned just so your ear sort of facing your hand that's on the block or the chair. You don't have to be using the block. If you can easily get your hand to the chair seat, that's fine. That's great. You decide. But then once we've shaped our body, we can feel how the shoulders are better aligned now. Let's see if we can skate that arm right past our ear. Now, not only are we trying to lengthen the spine, like following the direction of our extended arm, but we're trying to broaden. So it feels like your rib cage is trying to lift right outside as well from your side body. There's some expansion, just a sliver. Let's come out of that now. Let's let your upper arm kind of circle you out of that. And we're going to bring this foot to the floor. Let's stay on this side of the chair. Both feet now are on the floor and we're squared away to face the chair. So all 10 toes are facing the chair seat and your legs are both straight. So we have sort of a scissor step. This is going to give us an opportunity to come into pyramid pose. So hands are on the chair seat, both legs are straight. And maybe this is as far as you can move because that's a big stretch into your legs, particularly those inner thighs. But if there's movement available to you, it's bending the elbows and lowering your head and chest down to deepen into that big stretch of 2 straight legs. You could put your forearms on that chair seat. So play with it. You don't have to be near the chair here. If you are the body type, you have lots of flexibility. You could step back from that chair and come all the way down. Maybe your fingertips are on the floor and your face has come towards your front leg. Let's deepen the breath. Great, and then come back up, lift your head, you're back up. Now soften the knees, and let's bend into the front knee. And see if you can lift the back heel up. So I've stretched, I had to step way back there so I could get that back leg extended fully, no bend in the knee. And I've got the heel up. So now I can feel the stretch in my foot, that back foot. So I'm getting a little pulsation here where I'm on the toes and the ball of the back foot. Front foot, of course, is fully grounded. And you can just feel the stretch into your heel, into the calf. Nice stretch here. Let's get hands to the chair. We'll step forward, bring yourself up. Let's just round the back body and come all the way up. Let's find a mountain pose to reconnect to our breath. I've just moved around to the other side now so we can do the other leg. And I guess just you might, I was going to say you could probably do it from the same side, but actually you can't because I want you to have your foot near to the backrest. So as we step your foot onto this chair now, that one is near the backrest. And your other foot is, taking its big step back so that you have a fairly wide space between your feet. If the block was not something you used at all, maybe you just decide to put it on the floor and get it out of your way. But I'm going to keep it handy just in case. We're starting with the pulsation forward and back, bending the knee, and then sort of straightening that front leg. So forward and back, using the chair in any way that serves you. All 10 toes are facing the same direction. Smooth out the breath. Again, using the chair in any way that serves you. Let's pulse forward and hold that. Now here's where we're going to step differently on the foot that's on the floor. Turn your toes to face away from the chair. So you have a wider stance here. Your foot is definitely moved. Toes are facing away from the chair. And now when we do our pulsations, we're at a different angle. And this is the one we use the concept of non-linear movement. So you're just circling around. You're kind of pulsing and finding movement. You're looking for the stretch. You're just looking for that place where you, oh yeah, I can feel that. Get curious, try to get into the body in a way that has not been gotten into for a while. Some areas that have been maybe neglected, and you're like, okay, that's what we're looking for. Smooth out your breath. Again, if the block gives you better access because you don't have to fold so much closer to the chair, and you're able to lift yourself up in a way that, you know, that's more serviceable for you to use the whole length of that block, you can do that. Non-linear movement. Can't do it wrong. You're feeling your way in. One more breath. Let's bring ourselves upright. Now we're going to move into that side angle. So we have that bent knee, hand to the block. Let's get the back hand to come way back behind because you want to pull your shoulder back. And then you're turning and making sure your head is well positioned so your ear is facing your hand. Hand doesn't have to be on the block. It could be on the chair seat. You could keep a bent elbow there. There are various ways to do it. We're going to extend that top arm right past your ear. Long spine. Maybe drop your pelvis in toward the chair a little bit and broaden too. So not only a long spine, but you're trying to lift up your side, you know, that rib cage to the side, any amount. One more full breath. Beautiful. And then let's lift ourselves up. Now I want you to hold on to the chair so you can get that foot off of your chair and bring it down. And now again, all 10 toes facing to the chair. We have our pyramid opportunity. So we just have 2 straight legs in a scissor. Hips are squared to the chair, hands come to the chair seat. Keep your back long and strong. You might feel plenty of stretch right now, so then you can just hold it and breathe. If you're looking for more, it's lowering your chest and head down toward the chair seat. Keeping your feet planted, like see if you can feel more prominently the big toe ball on. Full breath in and out, big stretch. This pose is often called powerful pose. And we come back up and we're going to bend into that front knee. So the knee that's closest to the chair, let's take a bigger step back. So the toes are down, but the heel has popped up on your straight leg. And now as we pulse, we can feel some stretch into the foot. So I want you to just see about coming up onto the toes and then stretching that heel back. Keep yourself oriented to the chair, not to the screen. Just some pulses that give you a stretch in your foot, that back foot. And you can create what you can create here. You'll just feel it. Stretching into the toes and the heel and the, you know, the calf. And then, oh yeah, this movement into my thighs. And I like how it's doing this. And it's a nice lunge. Let's get our foot back to the floor. Pop forward now. So both feet are together. Take a moment now. Stand tall. Palms face forward in your mountain pose. Let's close the eyes. Simply catch up with your breath. Watch your breath, catch up with your breath. That's it. Nothing fancy. You're not trying to use any particular way of breathing. You're using a functional breath, just completely trusting your body, breathing the way you need to breathe. Beautiful. I like to keep us to a schedule. So I'm encouraging you now to come into Shavasana. Now, if your body is still needing something different, you can still, use your chair and create something a little bit different, a little stretch that you still wish you would have done. You have the time for that. But I have, decided for myself in this teaching that I want to allow us to have a full 10 minutes at the end of class for our Shavasana time. So that's kind of the guideline that I'm using. So come into the chair seat whenever you're ready. Sit back into it, use the backrest, use your footstool. Maybe you're into your recliner. We start to step by step, using our ritual that we've created to bring us back now into this quieting time, because it's maybe could be considered that all roads have led to this. Our practice of the movement and the stretching and the breathing that we've done thus far has brought us to this place of quieting. That our body is now open, our body and mind are now open to receive the benefits and blessings of the quieting of the mind and the meditation that we will approach. So leaning back into the chair seat so you feel very supported by it. And then I want you to, as soon as your eyes, you've closed and you've settled in, that we kind of stay with this notion of the support that's available to us. So starting with this chair, the seat, or whatever's underneath you, the surface beneath you, you just sort of acknowledge that, realize that you are, in fact, being supported by that, and you don't have to hold yourself in any particular way to make it happen. That chair, that floor, that recliner is supporting you, and you can release yourself into that. And so the support, the fact that you're being held becomes a felt experience. You are being held. And you can feel it. You don't have to imagine it or pretend. You are living it. You're experiencing it. Being held. Now let's use our mantra so we can keep our mind focused. As you inhale, say the word in, and as you exhale, say the word out. So we'll use that simple way of connecting to the breath to keep our mind focused. It's a gift to your mind. So there's no busyness, there's no racing of the mind. We're allowing the mind a simple task of saying the words and keeping track of the inhale and the exhale by use of the mantra as you feel yourself being held by the surface beneath you. Can you notice the borders of your body? Maybe you're noticing the skin of your body, the musculature as a border. From the inside of you, there's a border between the inside and the outside. And you have some awareness of the border. But as we breathe in and we breathe out, and we're consistently moving through that flow of breath in and out, we can start to realize that the experience of being held and the experience and awareness of our border starts to blend. It starts to merge. So the sense of being held is beyond the border now. And the inside of you is also being held. It's merged. And it's a softness. It's oh so soft how you are being held from the inside as well. Let's change our mantra. Keep our mind focused now. As we breathe in, we say the word deep. And as we breathe out, we say the word slow. So as we feel ourselves merging with the borders of our body and the experience of being held, our breath is deep and it's slow. And there's a softness. The quality of our experience now is soft. And we come to realize that this idea of being in the present moment is right there in our mantra, deep and slow. The breath in and out. This is presence. This is what that means, to be in the present moment. Breathing deep and slow as we are completely and entirely held in this moment. And finally, we change the mantra to calm and ease. Breathe in calm and breathe out ease. And yes, we can feel the calm and we can feel the ease. Every part of us, soft, calm, ease, held. Let's flutter the eyes open now. Take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Introduce some movement back into the body. Maybe you get your feet back to the floor. You come away from the backrest. You start to move. You start to feel movement in your body now as we start to transition out of our time with yoga. Let's sync up our breath one last time. Inhale with me, palms will come together up and overhead. Exhale, bow at your heart. Inhale now, let's create that lotus mudra. Inhale that up. And exhale, we're going to share all the energy that was stored within that. And let's share that with our community. That's nice. Hands come to the prayer position. We bow to ourselves and we bow to one another. Namaste, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today.